Today at Strong Roots Farm, we're talking stale seed bedding. If you have a home garden or you're a market gardener, you need to watch this video if you have a weed issue. Coming up next. I'm Jared McGinnis. Live in Southern Ohio with my awesome wife, Jenny. We have 4 sons, Colt, Gideon, Ruger, and Gatlin. This is a story of how we sold our new home in the suburbs, purchased an old, unserviceable farm, and began to transform it into a local food source for us and our local community. We're on a mission of faith, family, and healthy food. Please subscribe and come with us on this journey. We are Strong Roots Farm. All right, I'm going to start with a shout out. Mosier Farms, he's been emailing me back and forth. Hope I got that name right, but he's asking me about stale seed bedding. So I'm going to show you today what stale seed bedding is, okay? So a few years ago, I was reading this book called The Market Gardener by J.M. Fortier. A lot of you have read it. And he talked about stale seed bedding. And I watched some videos, and he said he doesn't have a weed issue because he germinates his weeds. That seems kind of stupid to me. That doesn't make sense as a farmer that came from commercial background. Germinating seeds means you grow your weeds, okay? So here's how he does it. So just like this, he covers all his rows with plastic. This is a 6 mil plastic. It's white on one side and black on the other. I always put the white down. I don't know the difference there, but I'm putting it down. And what happens is we've made these beds. We've done all the tilling. Everything we've done to them is completed. They're ready essentially to plant right now. We could plant right in them. In fact, right over here, we have 3 that are still left uncovered that we are going to put landscape fabric on with crops in landscape fabric. But these are stale seed bed. They're not ready to go yet, so we've got them covered. They're wet. We put water on each bed, and then we covered them with this plastic. What'll happen is the weed seeds that are in that top 1 inch, 1.5 inch layer will then germinate. The heat from the plastic will make underneath be like a greenhouse. The water will go and heat up and steam up, and all those seeds will germinate. It'll be a perfect environment. They'll germinate up. They'll build that 1 or 2 leaf. They'll start searching for sun at that point. They don't need the light to germinate up. Once they start searching for sun though, no light will get through this plastic. They will then die and rot off and go back into the ground as green manure, okay? But the seed will have germinated, so that seed cannot populate again. Those weeds will not come back. Let's go over here. I got a bed that I put in. I want to show you that. All right. These 2 beds here, I stale seed bedded. I covered all the way up. These 2 I did not, except for the back half there. You can see the big difference in weeds back there. The difference is that this was kind of a test. These 2 beds were stale seed bedded. These were not. See the difference. This bed was squash and tomatoes. This bed was radishes. I planted this bed and this bed at the exact same time. So, weeds, see the difference. Okay, stale seed bedding. They were covered for about 4 weeks. My thought was that I didn't need to stale seed bed the radishes. They would come up and they would smother out the weeds. Obviously that hasn't happened. Now I've let it go. The weeds might affect my radishes, but when I pull this up, I will cover it. I was so frustrated with this bed though that I stale seeded bed at the back 2, which I seeded this weekend. So you can definitely see the difference in the back 2 rows that had plastic on it for the last 3 or 4 weeks. No weeds whatsoever. So the thought is plastic over, germinate the weeds, and they won't come back. So 2 major questions with this. When should I stale seed bed, and how long do I have to stale seed bed? So the rule of thumb for me is if there's not production in this row, I am going to stale seed bed. It's going to be covered if there's not production in it. These rows here, they didn't really need to be stale seed bedded. They were freshly tilled. They were fresh new beds. There was no weeds coming up, but I'm not using them, so I'm covering them. Okay, so this is going to be my later fall lettuce and my winter crops. They're covered. They're going to stay covered. All the beds over here, as soon as I harvest, when they're done, when I harvest them out, I will cover them as well. They will be completely covered. The bed of radishes, I'll pull the radishes out. I won't till it. I'll just stale seed bed it, cover it for 3 or 4 weeks, and all those weeds will die down. And then I'll go in with my tilther and I'll put another crop in. So between crops, this is the issue. How long? So lettuces, it depends on how thick the weeds are, obviously. So if you have a minimal weed portion, you can stir up hoe it, stale seed bed it for 2 or 3 weeks, and go back in and put your next crop in. Some crops, like lettuce salad mixes, so these muslin mixes, things like that that come in really thick, You can just stirrup hoe, tilther, and go right away. Hopefully the crop will smother out the weeds. But if you have a weed problem, stale seed bedding is the way to fix it. So plastic, I bought my plastic from this website called 100bulbs.com. I don't know why they're carrying this stuff, but they are. It was the cheapest website I found. So go to them for the white and black plastic that I bought. If you go to TSC, you're gonna have to look for the mil. Okay, so there's 2, 4, and 6 mil. You want the heavier gauge, the 6 mil. Make sure you get the thicker stuff. It won't rip, it'll last a long time. I think at TSC I got a 25 or a 30 foot by 10 foot sheet for $28 or something, but on this 100 bulbs, I think the 100-foot roll that I cut into 20-foot sheets was only like 80 bucks for a 100-foot roll. So it was much cheaper there. Check them out and cover it if you're not using it, cover it after crops, and you can cover this all winter long. The other thing this will do in the summer or the early spring to push you into summer, it will start your crops earlier. So if you cover the bed with the black plastic, the sun will hit it, heat up the ground, and you'll be ready to seed earlier. You can use polytunnels over those or coverings over those. But if you don't have crops in the ground, you need to have plastic over it. It will prevent all of your weeds, everything that you've got. It will solve problems. This is, of all the techniques I've learned from market gardeners, this is the one that works in any state, any area, and it's the best one. It works every time. So there are things that I've learned from other people that I've had to adapt to Ohio. Not this. This works perfect. So I hope this video helps you. Please keep growing your own. Keep doing things. Keep watching us. Please subscribe and share us with your friends.